Namami Chinmayam Devam Satgurum Brahma Vidvaram Satgurum Brahma Vidvaram Om Namo Bhagavate Vaivasvataya Mrityave Brahma Vidyacharya Nachiketase Cha. Hari Om. So in the Kathopanishad, last week we had ended the fifth Valli and began the sixth Valli, and the fifth Valli ends with a question by Nachiketa, where he says that this infinite consciousness, this Brahman, this infinite bliss, how does it illumine everybody, all the planets, all the humans, plants, how do they all move? Does it have its own light or does it have a borrowed light? So that was his question. Very intelligent question, that where is this energy coming from? What is the source of this energy that enlivens the entire cosmos, all the 14 worlds? And then we heard the famous mantra, na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam, that we do in our arti, that the sun, the moon, the stars, fire, even lightning cannot illumine that, but it is that consciousness, tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam. Everything gets illumined after that. So that is the source of all the energy, all that is functioning, everything that is happening is because of that. And then in the sixth Valli, we heard the example of the Ashwatha tree, which Bhagwan in the 15th chapter spent 3 shlokas on it. But in one shloka, Yamaraj talks about this upside down tree, where the root, which is the origin of this whole universe, and the branches are this visible world, and there is a controller, which is that Lord alone, and it is because of his control that all the pranas vibrate, all the cells vibrate, everything happens, and we'll continue that today also. Kusum, do you have, it is Valli number 6, mantra number 3.
Yes, I do.
Vayadasya agnistapati.
Vayatsya agnistapati.
Vayatapati suryaha.
Vayatapati suryaha.
Vayad indrascha vayushcha.
Vaya indrascha vayuscha.
Mrityurdhavati panchamaha.
Mrityurdhavati panchamaha.
You can please mute. Bhayad asyagnistapati. Bhayatapati suryaha. Bhayad indrascha vayushcha. Mrityurdhavati panchamaha. So bhayad asya. Asya means of this. This means that consciousness that was mentioned also in the first 2 mantras. So that consciousness, that Lord, bhayad asya, out of fear of that, the fire burns. Fire burns out of fear of that. And the sun also illumines, gets heated up because of fear of that. And then bhayad indrascha, and Indra also functions, and Vayu also functions out of fear of that. And then mrityuhu dhavati panchama, even death runs, which is the 5th one. So Yamraj himself is saying that because he is mrityu, he says, I also run out of fear of that. So fear, it does not mean that this Lord is something to be afraid of. What it means is that it is a controller. It is like a lawgiver, and the laws have to be strictly followed. If the laws are not followed, then the whole universe will fall apart, because everything in this universe functions on laws, the law of gravitation, the law of magnetism, electricity, all the chemical, physical laws. And fire if fire decides from tomorrow, I'm not going to be hot, I'm so tired of being burnt, I want to be cool, it's not going to happen. Fire has to be hot. If the sun says, from tomorrow, I'm tired of heating everybody, I want to be cool like the moon, and it's not going to happen, because if the laws are not followed, there will be no life on this earth. Life on this earth is only maintained because there is a lawgiver which follows laws. As we said, even the laws of the Constitution, there has to be a judge to enforce them. So this entire cosmos, everything functions on dharma. So the dharma of fire is to be hot, the dharma of sun is to illumine. So everything follows according to that dharma. And all of us have to follow whatever place we are in society, wherever we have been placed, whatever dharma, my dharma is, just follow it explicitly and understand that I have been placed here by Bhagwan himself. And there is a purpose why I am where I am. And so do my duty, do my dharma. So some students say, I'm tired of being a student. I want to become a teacher. I want to talk. Everybody wants to talk. Nobody wants to listen. But, but they say first you listen, you learn, and then you can become a teacher. That is our Guru Shishya Parampara, that there is a guru and then the student learns from the guru. Then the student teaches and then other students learn and so on. And for time immemorial, this whole Sanatan Dharma has been maintained by Guru Shishya Parampara. And same way a seed, if there is a plant, you know that there is a seed. So everything follows the rules. We'll say, well, what came first? The seed came first or the fruit came first? Like what came, egg or the chicken? So they say, well, if the seed came first, then the plant came from the seed. But then if the plant or the tree came first, then seed. So what came first? So there is no answer because the seed and the tree are continuous in that cycle. There is a consciousness which came first. And most people say, I don't know that consciousness. I don't know about it. All I know is that, this cosmos is functioning and it was a big bang, or it is by itself, it is function. Things cannot function by itself. When you ask these people, where did this energy for the big bang come from, or where is the energy to drive the planets and the stars? They say, we don't know. So the end is always, whenever you go to science and ask them, okay, there is uh, protons, neutrons, subatomic particles, quatrinos and all those. What is beyond that? They say, I don't know. So and they say, I don't know, but we'll find out in the future, which they have been saying. Talking about I don't know, the son asks his father, he says, Father, who was Napoleon Bonaparte? Father says, son, I don't know. Then son asks the father, when was the Second World War? Father says, I don't know. Couple of more questions. Father always says, I don't know. Next morning, the son wakes up and says, Dad. So father says, yes, son. What would you like to ask? He says, never mind, son says. So father says, what do you mean, never mind? If you don't ask questions, how will you ever learn? So that's how we are, we keep asking questions, but then ultimately there comes a point where all questions end. And there you have to have faith that there is something higher which we cannot explain. And so that's what they say, the sun, the moon, Indra, all the rains happening, at the right time, at the right place, the right quantity of rain and thunder and lightning, whatever Indra is controlling, that is also because of that power. And Mrityu. Mrityu means Lord Death. So as we know, Yamaraj or his dutas, they go from place to place. and they keep taking Dhavati, they run around from place to place. Wherever there is a death, they come and take that jiva symbolically. They say they come and take the jiva to the higher or lower worlds, and then again the jiva takes another birth. So that's how probably Yamraj was gone for 3 days when Nachiketa first came there, and he was sitting outside. Yamraj was busy somewhere. So he says, Mrityu Dhavati Panchamaha. So Mrityu also runs out of fear of that. And everything, all the gods in heaven and all the powers function, and they all get their power from that. So the Indra, the power to have rain and sun and fire, all get their energy from that. Hansa Ben, Hansa J. Patel, you would like to do the number 4?
Yeah.
Iha chedashakat bodhum
इह चेदशकद्बोद्धुम्
praksharirasya visrasaha
पाकशरीरस्य विससः
tata sargeshu lokeshu
ततः सर्वेषु लोकेषु
sharirattvaya kalpate.
शरीरत्वाय कल्पते.
Together, iha chedashakat bodhum praksharirasya visrasaha tata sargeshu lokeshu sharirattvaya kalpate. So iha, so now Bhagwan is giving us a slightly different topic. He has changed the topic. So iha chet means in case here. Ashakat bodhum. Ashakat means one is capable. Ashakat means can. It's na kar sakta hai. So ashakat is that comes from that. So ashakat bodhum. If one can come to know, bodhum means come to know. Prak sharirasya visrasaha. Prak means before. Sharirasya means of this body. Visrasaha means the falling or the dispersal. How when we die, then the whole body just falls down. You cannot stand up, and it just disperses, becomes one with the element. So that is death. So if somebody can know this before his body perishes, and then the third and fourth line don't seem to match with this. So we'll see how the masters explain it. He says, if in this life, if you can come to know this truth, then tataha sargeshu lokeshu, in this world of creation, sharirat kalpate, he becomes fit to get a human body. So they say, wait a minute. You said if you come to know this truth, then you will get a human body. We thought if you get this truth, get to know, you become liberated from cycle of birth and death. So they say, yeah, there is a third line which is missing, which is prak sharirasya visrasaha sansarat mukto bhavati. There is a third line which is not here, but which you have to understand. So what they are saying is that if you are able to drop this, before dropping this body, if you are able to get the knowledge, then you become mukta, you become liberated from the cycle of birth and death. You become enlightened. But sargeshu lokeshu sharit ratvaya kalpate, who is the one that will get another body, who becomes fit for another body? They say the ignorant one. The one who thinks that I am this BMI, I am this body, mind, intellect, and lives his or her life throughout. And most people really have no interest in all this, knowing as I am body, I'm fine. Where did you come from? I don't know. Where are you going to go? I don't know. All I know is I'm here, khao pio, enjoy the life, and drink and be merry. And when it's time to go, you go. And there is no rebirth, there is no karma. So they don't believe in all that. They're called charvakas. But one who comes to know his real nature, as the Atma, the consciousness, which is not the BMI, then he becomes free. If not, then you have to take another birth. If you think you are this body and you are living like that, then you will keep going through cycle until you get this knowledge. And it is only jnanena, only by knowledge, this highest goal can be reached. Everything else helps. Bhakti helps, karmas help, karma yoga helps, all those things help, doing rituals, doing pranayam, all those. But ultimately, I have to know that I am that. I have to abide in that. It has to become my second nature, that is what I think. So it's so unless you, just as they say, unless you wake up from the dream, you will be lost in the dream that there is a tiger and all. But once you wake up, then you're not going to go looking for a gun. Okay, there was a tiger in my dream. Let me go shoot it. No, you know that the dream was false and I am safely in my bed. So same way, until you wake up from the dream of this world, Mahatma say that you and I are also in this dream of the world, which we think is real. Now, the dream only lasts for, few minutes, they say. But this life lasts for 70, 80, 90 years, but it is just a prolonged dream. And in that total creation, which is billions and billions of years, 70, 80, 90 years is just like palak chapakna, just as the blinking of an eye. That has nothing, compared to the totality. So that's what they say. Do not give too much importance, but use this human body and human intellect, which you have been given, and do not waste this opportunity. Use all your talents that you have been given. You have a wise intellect, you have an emotional mind that is loving, that is compassionate. So use that, and that is the only way to get out of this. Otherwise, this life will be a waste. And mahat, it is a mahat nashti. It will be a great sorrow, great loss, great destruction if we don't use this body. And they say you will keep going through this cycle. They say everybody has to take this path of knowledge. Sooner or later, if you don't take it in this life, next life, or 10 lives, sooner or later, somewhere or the other, you have to study this knowledge. And now we are on this path. We have this teaching. We have, Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda's commentary and Yamaraj himself teaching us. So, but people say, in this world, I have so many problems. And then people criticize me and I get so upset and I get angry. So he goes to a Mahatma. So Mahatma says, there are majority of the flies, where do they live? They live in garbage, right? Majority of flies live in garbage. There are rare flies who happen to accidentally show up in the Vedanta class. So same way, he says, if you keep on living in garbage, people who are of that type, then you will be in garbage. Or the rare is the person who happens to come to this Vedanta class to get this knowledge. So use this opportunity wisely, use it well, and apply this knowledge to transform your life, to transform your thinking, to transform your actions, to transform your beliefs, to transform your ignorance into that we say asato ma sat gamaya tamaso ma jyotir gamaya mrityur ma amritam gamaya. From untruth may I go to truth. From darkness may I go to ignorance, and from death may I go to eternal life. And another Mahatma says, why you don't get it? It's a very strong words. He says, chamde ki thैली में aham leke बैठे ho. So he says, this body you have is like a leather, what do you call it? Like a leather container, chamde ki thैली, where you carry that bag, grocery bag. But your bag is made out of leather. and inside is all filth, all these different organs and all inert. And in this leather bag, which is consisting of filth, which is bound to perish, you are thinking it is I am. So as long as you think, then you will always remain in ignorance. So that's what they say, that get out of that understanding ignorance, which you have had for many, many lifetimes. Now, the next shloka is very, very interesting and the idea is very strange, it's amazing the kind of knowledge that is there in this mantra, because people think, okay, I didn't get it in this lifetime, but I am doing good action, so I'll go to higher lok. I'll go to Pitra lok, or I'll go to Gandharva lok, or I'll go to Swarga, and there I will, I can study over there. Why am I struggling so much here? Or they say, I will go to Brahma lok. So people have all these different ideas of that there is something higher, and it's okay, you do whatever you can. Why are you stressing so much? Abhi aage bhi to jana hai, and as long as I'm doing good, I'll go to heaven and I'll learn over there. So beautiful mantra is there, that why only in human birth or in Brahma Loka, nowhere else, none of the other seven worlds, the seven heavens, none of them you can reach that highest. So very beautiful example is given. Lata, you have this one? Mantra number 5.
I do.
Yatha darshe tathatmani.
Yatha darshe tathatmani.
Yatha swapne tatha pitruloke.
Yatha swapne tatha pitruloke.
Yathapsu pariva dadrishe.
Yathapsu paribadadrishe.
Tatha gandharvaloke.
Tatha gandharvaloke.
The fifth one doesn't fit. It's extra. Chaya tapayoriva brahmaloke.
Chaya tapayoriva brahmaloke.
Okay, together. Yatha darshe tathatmani. Yatha swapne tatha pitruloke. Yathapsu pariva dadrishe. Chaya tapayoriva brahmaloke. So he says that yatha adarshe. Adarsha means mirror. So tatha atmani. So in this mirror, we see the reflection. And that is in this earth, in this world, in this mrityu loka, this human birth. It is like you see your image in the mirror. That's what it is. That's how the clarity of this knowledge is in this world. He said, okay, how about Pitruloka? Pitruloka means where the ancestors, ancestors, our ancestors who have guided us and who have given us this knowledge. And so some of them who got knowledge means this worldly knowledge, not enlightened masters, but our ancestors who have taught us, who have given us birth, who have created all the things in this world, who have, all the laws and all that. So in Pitruloka, it is like swapna, it's like a dream. So in this world of human birth, it is like a mirror. In Pitruloka, it is like a dream. Then yatha apsu pariva dadrishe tatha gandharva loke. So in Gandharva loka, we'll talk about what happens in Gandharva loka, but in Gandharva loka, yatha apsu. Apsu means in the water, pariva dadrishe. Just as there is a reflection in the water, that's how it is in Gandharva loka. And how about Brahma Loka, which is the highest, which is beyond all the other heavens? Chaya tapayor eva. So chaya means darkness, tapaya means light. So just as there is light and shade, same way in Brahma Loka, the knowledge is like light and shade. Now this mantra, if we translate, it makes no sense. Say in this world is like a mirror, other world is like a dream, and then other world is like water, and then other world is like shade and light. It doesn't seem to make any sense unless we have a teacher or a guru to interpret for us. So this first one, Yatha Adarshe Tatha Atmani. Atmani means within my own self. So on this earth, this knowledge is like a reflection in the mirror. What do we mean by reflection in the mirror? So Gurudev in his commentary says, I'm standing in front of a mirror and say I have a black spot on my forehead accidentally. Some dirt or some mud came, and I look in the mirror and I see the black spot. I don't see it here. I see it in the mirror, obviously, because I can't see my forehead. So then I don't take a cloth and start cleaning the mirror. I clean my forehead, where the mud is. So what you are seeing in the mirror is a reflection of what it really is. So in a mirror, whatever you see is a reflection of the reality. And if I move away from the mirror, or say if I have a hand mirror in which I see, when I remove the hand mirror, what happens? The reflection goes away, and then I alone remain. The reflection becomes one with me, one with the self. So similarly, in this life, the Atma, the consciousness, is reflected in the subtle body, just as I am reflected in the mirror. So the consciousness reflects in the subtle body, and that's how the jiva is created. That's how the, Chit Chaya that we have studied in Drisya Vivek. Because of the reflection of consciousness, this Atma is created. And that is how this world comes into being. So what do they say? How do you remove the reflection? Just as when you remove the mirror, you become one with that. Reflection becomes one with you. So here the mirror is the mind and intellect. And the mind and intellect, even though it helps us to study and progress, at the end it becomes an obstacle, because I get so stuck in my intellectual ideas, in my thoughts, emotions, that I cannot transcend them. So they say in your meditation, you transcend that. How Gurudev actually lately in that Chinmaya Gokul, he has said it very beautifully. He says that you with the right knowledge, you go beyond the mind and intellect. How do you go beyond the mind intellect? They say you quieten your mind, sit in silence, and then wait. And then ultimately, the Lord himself will take you beyond it. But we have to put our effort, do our regular meditation, get the right knowledge, have faith, have devotion to Bhagwan, and then wait patiently in that attitude of silent waiting. And in that attitude of waiting, when my mind becomes single pointed and then totally the mind is focused on the self, avrita chakshu, they say when the mind goes inward and becomes one with the self, then the mind and intellect get transcended. Then the mind and intellect no longer can be obstacles, and such a person wakes up to his real nature. So then he sees that the self alone is there. Then that whole this BMI becomes non-existent. The world becomes non-existent. Does not mean that he dies, but that he realizes this world is as real as a dream, and that only reality is that self. So just as a mirror takes you to that, so that is how in this world. Then he says in Pitraloka, when you go to Pitraloka, there is a lot of enjoyment, the Pitrus, because that world is higher than this. So there it is said it is like a dream. Now, how real is the dream? Dream, when you are going through the dream, it's all confused. Some material from here, some from there, and it is all jumbled up. And when you wake up, you don't even remember. So as the knowledge in the dream is real, that's how it is in Pitraloka. You can try to get it, but everything is jumbled. It's not that easy as it is in the human birth, even though we think Pitraloka is higher, but the clarity you get in human birth, you will not get in Pitraloka, because Pitraloka is to enjoy your good karmas. And then he says, how about Gandharva Loka? Or, what is Gandharvas? Gandharvas are these musicians, celestial musicians and dancers, and they play music and dance and song. It is like a lower Swarga. And then there is a higher Swarga where Indra and all is. So there, your mind is so much in dance, music, enjoyment, all this, and there's like they say, like in Swarga, there will be a sign. They will say there is a Vedanta lecture going on, in one room, and then all the other rooms there is dance, music, khana, food, and also where will you go? In that Vedanta room, there may be one or two people. In Swarga, 99.9% are just enjoying, because when your mind is full of bhoga, you cannot have yoga. See, either you have bhoga or you have yoga. Like a student, he's studying, but at the same time, he has music playing or he's watching something. When kids say that, oh, he says, oh, I can listen to music and I can study, or I can watch TV. You cannot. It's just kids are just fooling you. So as long as there is bhoga, there cannot be yoga. So it is in Gandharva Loka, it is like reflection in the water. Now, when the water, there is a reflection, say you are watching yourself in the water, and suddenly a little breeze comes and the water gets shaken and your reflection is gone. So same way, the knowledge, even if you get some knowledge in Gandharva or in Swarga, it is very quickly dissipated, just as reflection in the water. So in Pitraloka is a dream, in there it is a reflection in water. How about Brahma Loka? Yeah, they say, yeah, Brahma Loka is like black and white. It's like shade and light, dark, not darkness, but shade and light. They are next to each other, and it is easy to distinguish the two. So they say, okay, I'll go to Brahma Loka. They say, oh God, to go to Brahma Loka, you have to have done tremendous amount of karmas, tremendous amounts of upasana. You have to become one with that Hiranya Garbha, that much evolution in your thinking, in your knowledge, in your behavior. You have to have a perfect life. So it is very rare that people go to Brahmaloka. And then once they go to Brahmaloka, he says, I will study. They say, yeah, but the teaching is only in Sanskrit. Nobody talks any other language, no Hindi, English, Punjabi, Gujarati, nothing. It is only Sanskrit. And they start from Brahma Sutra, Athato Brahma Jignasa. That is the first lesson. So there is no Tattva Bodh, Atma Bodh, Bhaj Govindam, none of those directly. So you have to have progress that much, studied all the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, everything before you go. So Brahma Loka is very hard. So they say human birth, he said, you are already here in human birth, and this world you already have. You already have the intellect. You already have all the emotions. And the scriptures have been given to you by Mahatmas. So you have everything on this earth. You have the human body, intellect, all the comforts of this world, all the right, opportunity to study. So they say all you have to do is offer your ego and offer all activities into sadhana. So my every activity should be a sadhana. So when I'm eating, I'm offering it to Lord. When I'm doing the dishes, when I'm studying, when I'm reading, when I'm driving, everything I'm doing for Bhagwan. So that is the method, and it needs 100% commitment and sincerity. And you have to evolve from the animal state. Gurudev says in one place, he says, all of you have just barely lost your tail. Means you have just come out of the monkey. You have not progressed very far. So make sure we don't go back into that animal state and stay in that human state, and study the scriptures and offer all activities, offer your ego. Tera tujhko arpan, we say. We offer things, but main thing Bhagwan wants you is to offer the ego. And that is one thing that we own. Everything else is Bhagwan's. Whatever property we has is his, whatever, everything, all the. But the ego is owned by me. And so I offer that. And that is why, so they say this is the best opportunity where in meditation you can transcend the mind and intellect, transcend the ego. Ambika, you have this sixth one. Indriyanam prithak bhavam. You are muted. Number 6. Valli.
I'm sorry, I lost it. I have it on my phone. I lost it. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Let me see who else has. Saroj,
Okay,
you have it? Saroj Ben? Or Sujata?
Yeah.
Okay, number 6. Indriyanam prithak bhavam.
Indriyanam pratabhava
Udayastamayau chayat.
udayastuyat
Prithak utpadyamananam.
pruthak utpadyamana
Matva dhiro na shoshati.
matvadhir sochati.
You can mute. Indriyanam prithak bhavam. Udayastamayau chayat. Prithak utpadyamananam. Matva dhiro na shoshati. So now they are trying to distinguish between the sense organs and the body. So first he had talked about the body level, this human body. Now he's going to the sense organs, which is subtler than the body, and then to the mind and intellect. So Bhagwan Yamraj is taking us from the body to sense organs, to mind, intellect, and ultimately to the self. So Indriyanam, so of the senses, Prithak Bhavam, it is a distinct nature. So the senses are different from Atma, from consciousness. Well, how are they distinct? One is that nature is distinct, and Udaya Tamayau Chayat, and they are rising and falling. So senses are rising and falling. And Prithak Utpadyamananam, and they have been created separately, the sense organs. And Matva, having understood this, Dhiraha, wise person, na shochati. Now this word Dhiraha is used many times by Bhagwan in Bhagavad Gita, in the Upanishads, many places. Dhira has 3 qualities. One is Sadhan Chatushtaya. Sadhan Chatushtaya, everybody knows. Vivek, Vairagya, Shat Sampatti, Mumukshutvam. You must have those 4. Then Dhira should apply that Vivek in constantly distinguishing between real and unreal, what is right, what is wrong, what is my goal, what is not my goal, what is Atma, what is Anatma, that. And then the other thing that the Dhira must do is constantly live with that understanding and constantly live and abide in that and go beyond all this. So that is the Dhira. So he said, Dhira na shochati. So the wise person does not grieve, does not have sorrow And then he says the five senses. Now, what is the difference between Atma and the five senses? The five senses are caused, right? From the space came hearing, from the sun, light came vision, smell, taste, touch. They all come from, like smell comes from earth, taste comes from water, touch comes from air. So it is the five Pancha Mahabhutas from which the Indriyas are created, but Atma is uncreated. It is the uncaused cause. Then the Atma is constant, it is eternal, but Indriyas rise and fall. Like right now, our senses are fully awake, 100%. And then when we are in the dream, they are 50% active. They're also in a dream also, even though you are not, you normally you may wear glasses, but in your dream, you can clearly see, even without wearing glasses, you can see whatever is happening. You may not remember all of it, but the senses are 50% active in the dream. And so that is what. In the deep sleep, it is 0% because the senses are not active. They're completely dormant. Yes, the touch is still there. I mean, if somebody pokes you with a needle, then he will wake you up. But as long as you are in deep sleep, you are not hearing, smelling, tasting, touching anything else. And Atma has no arrival or departure, no coming or going. It is constantly present. It is uncaused. But Indriyas come and go. And again, at the time of death, when the body perishes, then the Indriyas also perish. So that's why it is the difference between Atma and Indriyas. And what is the difference? So they say that there are five, like a human being has five aspects: gross body, subtle body, causal body, conditioned consciousness, and unconditioned consciousness. You know, condition means when the consciousness is functioning through mind and intellect. So there are five. How about in the world? There are also five. There is the gross universal body, the gross subtle body, the universal causal body, and the universal conditioned consciousness. And then there is unconditioned consciousness. But the difference between me and the world is I am tiny, the world is huge, you know, Vishwa and Virat. I am limited, Ishvara is unlimited. Ishvara is the total causal body, while in me, the causal body. So only one thing is common, and that is unconditioned consciousness. So when they say Tattvamasi, means I, the unconditioned consciousness, and that the unconditioned consciousness are one. Otherwise, everything else is different between me and Ishvara, me and the Lord. So that Lord is unlimited, all-knowing, and but I am limited. I have alpagnya, I have limited knowledge, I have limited abilities. So alpa shaktiman, I have limited shakti, Lord has infinite shakti. I have limited knowledge, Lord has infinite knowledge. Lord knows everything, I only know minimum. So Lord creates everything. All I can create is confusion. See, that is the only thing we have the ability to create. So only one thing is common, and that is unconditioned consciousness, what we call as Atma, Brahman, and that is one. And one who knows that zero goes beyond all sorrows. Tarati Shokam Atmavit. Upanishad says that the knower of truth goes beyond all shoka, all sorrows. And how do we do that practically? So they say constantly discriminate. So like we are studying Drig Drishya Vivek, the seer and the seen, that the world is seen, and even this body, mind, intellect is seen, it is known, but the seer is Atma, the consciousness. So Drig Drishya Vivek or Avasthatraya, they say like in waking, dream, and deep sleep, the consciousness is always there. Or in the three bodies, gross, subtle, and causal body, the Atma is separate. So you distinguish between seer and seen, between Atma and Anatma, or Atma and the Pancha Koshas, Pranamaya, Annamaya, Manomaya, Vigyanmaya, Anandmaya, all those 5 koshas, everybody knows that. I'm sure they've all done Tattva both. So I am different from my equipment. So this body, mind, intellect, these senses, they're all my equipment, and I am different from it. But some people get so identified with their equipment that they cannot separate, like the cell phone. Cell phone is my equipment, but some people get so attached, they hold on to the cell phone, even sleep with the cell phone at night. And for some reason, even for 1 or 2 days, the cell phone is gone, their life is finished. Or internet, internet is also an equipment to use, but suppose the internet dies for a week or 10 days, they will say, oh, my life is finished. So same way, we get so attached to our equipment that we forget that we are that Atma. So you have to constantly distinguish myself from Anatma, that I am Atma, and everything else, the five koshas, the 3 bodies, the 3 states, all of them are not me. I am not any of those. And through meditation, I heard a very beautiful story. So there was this student who goes to the teacher and says, teacher, I'm not able to meditate. My mind doesn't stay at all. It just runs here and there. So teacher says, what do you love the most? Start meditating on that. That way your mind wants. So he loved his buffalo the most. So he starts meditating on buffalo. Every morning, 1 hour, he's thinking about buffalo's qualities, to such an extent that after a month or so, he comes to the teacher and he says, teacher, I can't enter the door of your kutia. He says, why? He says, because my horns are so big, I can't enter. So he was so much identified with the buffalo. So teacher says, very good. Now you have identified with the buffalo. Now you know how to meditate. Now meditate on Bhagwan, meditate on the higher So that's what they're saying, that things that we love, we are so attached to. So as you are attached to things and beings, how we are so attached to our children, our property, our money, our wealth, our things, our cell phone. So develop that same kind of attachment and love for Bhagwan and transfer all that to Bhagwan. And that is meditation. And for that, you need a teacher, you need a guru. And so this mantras today told us that how there's one Lord who is running this whole universe. And our goal of life should be in this life itself to get to know the truth and give up our identification with the unreal. And that is the only way. Otherwise, you'll keep going through the cycle of birth and death. And how clear it is, just like a mirror and reflection in this life. So this is the best opportunity you have to go beyond the reflecting medium to that consciousness. And if you in Pitralok or in Gandharvalok or even in Swarga, it is like a dream or it is like a reflection in water. And also Yamraj is telling us that is not the body and you are not the senses. So go beyond those. And then in the next mantras, we will talk about the mind and intellect and unmanifest. So Yamraj will take us step by step to the highest truth. So we'll end here. We have about 8 or 9 minutes. If anybody has any questions, comments.
And Hari Om Anilji, our Atma goes with us, with our body. But as soon as we take another birth, those 5 senses come with that. Then.
Right. So I think Atma, we have to distinguish between Jivatma and Atma. See, what goes with us is the Jivatma. That is the one. That this idea that I am this individual, and this mind, intellect, and vasanas, they together make a package called Jiva or Jivatma. So they say na uski atma ko shanti do or uski atma chali gayi. So that atma that goes is Jivatma. But when Vedanta they talk about atma, that atma is the consciousness. That is the same as Brahman, the total consciousness. And that doesn't go anywhere because that is everywhere, Brahman or Atma or consciousness. So you have to distinguish between Atma and Jivatma. So when you say uski Atma ko Shanti mile, that now the Atma, the consciousness does not need Shanti, but that individual Jivatma, the Jiva, may he, that Atma get peace wherever that Jiva is in heaven, hell, wherever it is. So you pray for uski Shanti. So you have to distinguish between Jivatma and Atma. That is very important. People get confused, when we say Atma, Atma is consciousness. That is Brahman. But Jivatma is the one that goes. So is that clear, Auntie?
Yes, it is. That's why we say that our vasanas carry on wherever,
Yes.
with every birth.
Right. So the vasanas and the mind and intellect, the subtle body and the causal body makes the jivatma or the jiva, and that goes to further worlds, birth or death. Yes, but
And
the consciousness, what we say as atma and
yeah,
atma
which
and
is
anatma,
everywhere.
that doesn't go anywhere because that is everywhere. That has nowhere
Yeah.
to go. That's what they say, no difference between me and Bhagwan. I can change my address. Bhagwan cannot change his address. So that is the difference. Because for him, there is nowhere to go. I can move from here to, San Luis Obispo to the coast. But Bhagwan cannot move because Bhagwan is everywhere, while I am not everywhere. So that is the difference.
Very clear. Thank you.
Thank you. Kusum, you have comment or question?
Yeah, I really like the sloka number 5. It's like Guruji also, when he did the Kathopanishad, he said this is like to reflect over and over again. And it says that we have to do this self-realization now in this human life because the Pitruloka, Brahmaloka, and Gandharvas, they cannot do it. They cannot do. Only the Manushya Loka can get the moksha, nobody else. And that's why he said we already got the Manushya Jivan, so we should do it now, here. That is the best time and best place to do it. And he said, clearing the mirror of our mind, he's compares the mind as mirror, how to clean it. And he said the Guru Bhakti only will clean that mirror, and then you will see the reflection so clearly, then you won't need the mirror. It will just merge with the self, and that is self-realization. He said how Tulsidas beautifully says, Sri Guru Charana Saroja Nijamana Mukuru Sudar, means the dust of the lotus feet of Guru just makes your mind that. So it gives the importance of Guru Bhakti here and how the Guru can lead you to that. And so don't worry about Pitruloka and Gandharva Loka, all that to go there. That was very nicely done.
Thank you. No, Brahma Loka, you can get realization. In Brahma
It's a
Loka, the
Krama Murti.
Brahmaji,
It has to be doing a lot of studies there.
lot
Then
of study.
Krama Murti. It's not like Guru Bhakti, like here you get instantly.
Right. That's true. In Brahma Loka, you have to stay for 4 billion years with Brahmaji and study. But then you are enjoying. It's, you are not suffering there. And ultimately, when the pralay happens, then you will get enlightenment and you have to learn from Brahma. So it is a very long process. So here is the best opportunity because in this lifetime itself, you can do it. Nowhere else you can do, as Kusum said very nicely, in Pitraloka, in Gandharva Loka, even in Swarga, where Indra is, you will be just stuck in enjoying bhogas. So thank you, Kusum. That's good. So bhakti and then knowledge. Yeah, they are the two wings. Bhakti and knowledge are the two wings with which this bird of ours can fly. Only so you need both. Thank you. Anything else? Yeah, Lata, go ahead.
So those souls that are in Pitruloka and Gandharva Loka, they have to take the human birth to be free from the samsara?
Absolutely, yes. Yes. They have to come back to the human, or they enjoy even Swarga, you can enjoy. Shine punye martya lokam vishanti. Bhagwan says in the Bhagavad Gita, when the punyas are exhausted, even in Swarga Loka with Indra, you have to come back martya loka in this world to realize. Bhagwan Sri Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, even those worlds are only temporary. They're like going to Hawaii. When your credit card is maxed out, you have to come back, back to work, your vacation. So it's like a vacation. It's just a more luxurious vacation, but it's just a vacation. In Brahma Loka, you don't come back. If you have done that much punya in this human birth, again in Swarga and Pitruloka, you cannot do more karmas to progress. You can enjoy the karmas, and once the credit card is expired, your ATM is has no money, you have to come back. So same way, once your punya karmas are exhausted, you have to come back to earth. Only if in this world life, if you have done so much good that you go to Brahma Loka, which is very hard. So it is better to do it in this life realization, because even if you go to Brahma Loka, you have to wait for a long period of time. Here you have an opportunity in 10, 20, 30 years to get it. So why waste this opportunity? Even if you don't get it completely, but if you have done enough progress, you will continue in your next life. Arjun asks Bhagwan Sri Krishna in the 6th chapter that if a person does not get, but almost has reached, Bhagwan says, I'll put him in the house of yogis. He'll be born in the house of wise people where he can continue his. So Bhagwan says, don't worry, whatever effort you put, nahi kaschit kshanam abhi, nothing gets wasted. Oh Tat, whatever effort you put, nothing gets wasted. Bhagwan says, I preserve that, your karmas, so you can continue the life. So yeah. But even to worry about next life, better is to try and do it in this life itself, rather than think, oh, maybe I'll have a next life. We don't know what will happen, how long.
So, and one more question. When you said Atma reflected in mind and intellect, it confuses itself as Jivatma, and that's where, and then that's where the attachments to everything starts for that Atma. Is that what you sort
The
of
Atma is
indicated?
not, Atma doesn't get confused, but when the Atma reflects in the mind and intellect, there comes a jiva, which we call conditioned consciousness, which is created, which then takes ownership of the body, mind, and intellect and says, I am the body, I am mind. And that's the one that gets confused and forgets what my true nature is. So that entity that is manifested when consciousness reflects in the mind and intellect is called conditioned consciousness, jiva, ego, all those. I, this little I. One is the I, that consciousness, which is eternal. But I, this temporary, so that is created, and that's where the ignorance is. And so Mahatmas come and try to tell us that this is not you, you are that. Tattvamasi, you are that.
And Kusumji just mentioned that you clean that mirror of mind and intellect with Guru Bhakti, that it would clear up, and then you will see that reflection clearly.
Yes.
And that is who you are. That Atman is who you are.
Right.
Once that knowledge dawns, then
Exactly.
only.
Right.
Thank you.
Can I just say one thing? Just one thing. What you asked, I know it's little, 1 minute. You asked about what is that Jivatma. So I think in Vivek Chudamani, Tapovan Maharaj Ji follows that example very well. Is the sun and buckets of water down. Different buckets of water. The sun reflection is in the water of the bucket. Each one has a little reflection. Okay, so here the metaphor says the body is the bucket, mind is the water, reflection is that reflected consciousness which we think about, Chidabhas, that is the one, and the sun is the consciousness. Now it falls in all the buckets, and the buckets or the mind or water thinks that this reflection is me, not this. So the Guru says, don't look there, look up and see the sun. That's what you are. You're not that reflection. That reflection is the Jivatma, which we consider, oh, that is me, that is me, that is my mind. That's why you get all these sorrows and everything. But you are really the sun, you're not the reflection.
Yeah, thank
So
you.
that's beautifully given in 218, I think, the Vivek Chudamani sloka. Beautiful, very nicely explained.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah. So so different examples are given, but sun is a very good example. I think we'll end here. We'll continue next week. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you.